Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, syukurillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad ibn Abdullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi mawalah. Amma ba'd. Honorable Chairman of Indonesian Chamber of Commerce, Pak Arsyad Rashid, Honorable Leader of Buddhist community in Thailand, Venerable Adil Sakya, our beloved friend, Pak Franky Wijaya, distinguished guests and participants from ASEAN countries. Thank you for the honor of stage that is given to me. A few days ago, it was like a couple weeks ago, in early August, Nahdlatul Ulama held an event that we call the ASEAN Intercultural and Interreligious Dialogue Conference. This event is an event of a gathering of religious leaders and cultural leaders from all ASEAN member countries and also from countries that have cooperational relationship with ASEAN. And in that event, we promote an idea of striving together to make ASEAN as the epicentrum of peace, tolerance, and harmony. The event went very well, and we had the full support from the Indonesian government, especially from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Republic of Indonesia, because we came to a shared belief that this kind of event, this idea is needed. And the consideration for that is a simple logic. This year, as the host of ASEAN Summit and the bearer of ASEAN presidency, Indonesia promotes an agenda to make ASEAN as the epicentrum of growth. ASEAN matters as the epicentrum of growth. Is ASEAN truly having the potential to make itself an epicentrum of growth, which means that it can foster more economic growth, not just for ASEAN countries and societies, but also for all the entire global community. We believe ASEAN has the potential, and the reason is many. We have very, very affluent natural resources. We have huge populations, which is very essential in the dynamics of economy. So what the ASEAN summit needs to do then is to think and discuss about the strategy to really make it happen, to make ASEAN as the epicentrum of growth. But then, ladies and gentlemen, in every postulate of basic economic theories, there's always one phrase that comes in common, which is ceteris paribus, meaning that every economic postulate can only work if there is no other variables involved. But in reality, we can easily acknowledge that economy can only grow and work well if we have sufficient stability, sufficient security in our society. So it is a prerequisite for any strategy to make ASEAN the epicentrum of growth that we need to create a condition where ASEAN is or has sufficient stability and security in its society. Now, having seen this reality, then we come to see another part of reality in our society, which is that we are a very, very heterogeneous society in sense of ethnicity, cultures, and religion. That means that we have so many sources of potential problems in our society, because differences in these kind of groupings often creates or triggers controversies, contradictions, or even conflicts in society. And it, in fact, happened quite frequently in our society, including in Indonesia. Now, but in the other hand, we also see a reality that our society actually, compared to others in other places in the world, actually is relatively peace. Our society, despite the heterogeneous nature, actually relatively very, very peace and tolerance. If you look into history, this is a region where conflicts, violent conflicts, is relatively very rare compared to other regions. And our society has the confidence to preserve its capacity to contain any potential of conflicts within itself. That is why in Indonesia, for example, we confidently use as our national creed Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which means unity amidst diversity. Because despite the very heterogeneous nature of Indonesian society, we have great confidence that we can manage all these differences in our society into something that is harmonious in nature. And we come to this confidence because it is indeed our experience throughout a long time of history. Now, if we look at the whole region where ASEAN countries reside, actually, the societies in ASEAN, in every member countries of ASEAN, actually has similar nature, similar character. So we then can think about what has been happening in our history together. In fact, there was a time in history when this whole ASEAN societies actually was one shared civilization. And the civilization that existed in quite ancient time started maybe before the century itself, managed to plant deep root in our societies. So, first, in order for us to succeed in working on a strategy to make ASEAN an epicentrum of growth, we need to also strive and strategize to make ASEAN as epicentrum of peace, tolerance, and harmony. Because peace, tolerance, and harmony are needed to preserve and guarantee the stability and security of our society, which is needed for any strategy for economy. So then, do we really have the potential to develop ASEAN as the epicentrum of harmony? The answer is yes, indeed. Because we were, in the past, one civilization. And the civilization that we had in the past was a civilization that truly promoted harmony among this diverse society. We had in Indonesia, for example, the civilization of Sriwijaya, which managed to survive for not less than 7 centuries, 700 years in Indonesia. Managed to preserve peace and harmony in the archipelago. I had a long discussion this morning with Venerable Anil Sakya in my office, and we were talking about the nature of our shared civilization in the past and the evidence that indeed there was a shared civilization existed, belonged to us in the past. Until nowadays we have so many elements of shared cultural elements. We have so many similarities in our languages and so forth. And most importantly, actually, we have similarities in the nature of our mentality, which is a mentality that put harmony as the most important in our life. So indeed, we have the potential to strategize and make ASEAN an epicentrum of harmony, an epicentrum of growth, going along with epicentrum of harmony is something that the global community is really in a great need nowadays. So hopefully, with these efforts that we put our dedication in it, we will then make a truly valuable contribution, not just for our beloved ASEAN community, but more widely to the whole global community and global civilization. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and hopefully this forum will also contribute with more than just economic calculation, but also we hope that in our economic striving, whatever we do, it will be infused by our shared and in fact universal ethics and morality. And that is where religions can also contribute greatly as inspiration. Thank you again. Wallahu muwaffiq ila aqwamit thariq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.